This one just has way too many bathrooms. This is terrible. It feels smaller. It feels so small. I like this a lot. Hiya, hello. How do we feel about hanging out in Pinterest a little bit and just like looking up schematic design inspiration? I've realized we never did that. I'm gonna hop over, I guess. I love Pinterest. We use it in the industry as well. We use it at my work. I think it's just like the platform that has the most at its disposal. And I know in my pins, there was this one that we found. Oh, I love these ISOs. I think they're super cute. And they also do a really good job at helping you understand how things interrelate with one another rather than just trying to view it in the 2D floor plan looking down. The one thing I really liked about this layout here was how there was a main floor bedroom. This design is also unique in that the bedroom requires you to pass through the bathroom. You don't see that really that often. The reason, again, why I'm not a huge fan of this though is I don't like ladders in tiny houses. I'm way more partial towards some kind of staircase, whatever that looks like. I just feel like if you had to use a ladder every single day, like it shouldn't feel like an effort to get in and out of bed. Like I could just imagine in the middle of the night having to get up to go pee and knowing that you were gonna have to like fumble around in the dark and climb down a ladder. I also think too, just from like a safety perspective as well, there's kind of a window of age demographic that can comfortably use a ladder. So that's why I really like this other design that we were talking about doing here, where we have this staircase situation that goes up and then this lowered floor platform that you can actually stand full height. And then when you decide that you need to pee in the middle of the night, you can just crawl out of bed and actually just walk down your corridor to your stairs. But let's see what happens if we just look up tiny house floor plans. We'll talk about a few of these actually, and we'll do some like design reviews. And I'm a big advocate for practical design, efficient design. I want the space that I exist in to be very functional. So when we do these design reviews, especially in the schematic design phase, which is where we are now, I'm thinking about that from that lens. We're not thinking about finishes. We're not thinking about the design of the cabinets and stuff. There is not a lot of information, I would say, from a lot of these images on like the dimensions, I guess. They have some. Let's go through some of these. We'll start with this one. And it looks like actually they might have built this. So this is actually really cool because sometimes when you just look at things in 2D, it's really difficult to understand what they're trying to convey. Looking even like here, for example, at the bottom where it says we have an office room tag, but then we also have a twin bed tag below it, and I don't know what that means. And this here says office loft. I don't know what's happening. I see that there's a ladder here and a ladder here. The bathroom size looks good actually. I think that the wall between the toilet and the vanity in the shower space is wasted space. I don't think that's necessary. Taking down this wall and opening it up would make this bathroom just feel a little bit lighter to be in, like less confined. This kitchen is a galley style. I'm curious, I guess, with the living room space. How much space do you actually need for a living room? From conditioning, being in regular size houses all the time, like I look at kind of a living room setup like this where you only have a love seat here and I'm kind of like, oh, you have people over, like they don't fit. But how often are you gonna have a ton of people over anyways? I think I would feel more comfortable answering this question if I had experience staying in a tiny house for a more prolonged period of time. And this is something that I recommend, again, for anybody that is considering living tiny. Find a tiny house on Airbnb or like a tiny house resort or something and go stay there. I have not done this yet, but I just know I've toured 2 different tiny houses and it feels a lot different in person. They actually feel a lot more expansive in person than they do in photos and videos, actually, believe it or not. So this might not be a terrible thing. It does have the staircase up to the bedroom loft. I'm giving it points for having a staircase. I like that a lot. The one thing that I don't like is the bedroom storage for your clothes and stuff. I don't want to store my clothes in a loft bedroom because that's so annoying. Now you're like hiking upstairs and hunching over trying to put all of your clothes away after you do your laundry. That's not something I find very desirable. That could be just a personal thing. The one thing that I do kind of like, and I'm curious about, we'll go through these photos in a sec. We have this office situation here, and I really like even like having this inset here. I think it's really cool. I'm wondering if the twin bed tag here means that somehow this office space converts to a spare room. I don't know how it would do that, but that could be cool if that's the intent. And this ladder, I assume, slides. I'm not a fan of pocket doors because I feel like they break very easily, but they do have a lot of space saving functions. So overall, actually, I do think that this is a really nice design. I don't know where the washer and dryer is, but I do like these other aspects of it. Let's go through some of the photos. This 3 sides of windows in the loft, I love this. Having the windows like this just opens it up so much more. It makes it feel more lifted, more bright. The view, I'm sure, would be wonderful. I wish that they had examples of it furnished, but we'll carry through here. I wish that I knew, like, how wide are they making these stairs? How big is this pocket door opening? How much clearance do they have from one side of the counter to the other in the kitchen? We don't have that information. The finishes in here are very pretty. This is the vanity. I don't like these bowl sinks. Do you know how many times I've stayed at like a hotel or an Airbnb where they have one of these bowl sinks, and like maybe it's just how I wash my face, but like I've literally just face planted on the rims of these. I don't like them. I have a vendetta against them. They've hurt me. But this is an interesting staircase design to get more storage. This is cool. This is one of those things though where I feel like would work for 2 adults, but if you had kids in this tiny house, I don't know if this would be very kid friendly. But yeah, this is really pretty. And because it's like wood veneer, you would never want to paint it, or you shouldn't. I would hope you don't. Oh yeah, and then this is the office loft. But when you go through these pocket doors here, yeah, so the ladder does slide like I thought. You can see it's kind of on this track, you just pull it. Show us photos of the office space then. Do we pin this then? Probably not. I'm not seeing anything that we haven't done already. The only thing that I like, this, I love this. This is more design development stuff. This is not, we're looking at the floor plans. So let's move on. This is very tiny. This is too tiny. This one? So it's 31 feet 8 inches long. It doesn't look like it has a second story, but there's a couple things about this that I wanted to point out. Actually, this is a gooseneck trailer, and I'll show you why. We have a staircase here that goes up to the bedroom. Gooseneck trailers are like this. They lift up at the front and hitch on the truck, kind of more in like where the truck bed is. Tiny houses, when they are on gooseneck trailers, you can go a lot larger, but you also are getting into the territory of needing a professional tower to move it, to my understanding. It creates some interesting designs though. Like you get this like lifted front part here. You kind of get like a tri-level tiny house where like this is almost its own floor and then you have another loft above. Oh yeah, this is a tiny house. So this is a gooseneck trailer specifically for a tiny house where they have this platform leveled for you. I also like, maybe it's just an aesthetic thing, but I just kind of don't really like the look of them. They look like they're missing a chunk. This one's really pretty though. Look at the exterior of this one. This is stunning. I love the wood doors with the wood trim around the windows. It's very pretty. We tried to do a bathroom orientation like this and it did not go well. But this kitchen situation is what upsets me the most. This is terrible. This is terrible. There's not enough clearance here, not enough clearance here. You are not able to flow around this kitchen comfortably. I don't know in what world they thought this was a good idea. Also, I don't know why the wall is missing in between this portion here. I guess I'd have to see in photos or something. Just based off of circulation, this is bad. I noticed this when we were doing a similar design critique of camper van layouts on Pinterest. I think people just design layouts for graphic purposes and they don't work. Oh, here's another ISO. Oh, this one has a big staircase too. This is another personal thing. Design is subjective. I don't like having the entrance to your tiny house on the smaller side. I like it a lot more when you can have it on the longer side of your tiny house because I feel like that creates an opportunity to add on an outdoor space, like a patio that flows from indoors to outdoors and feels a lot more intentional. When it's kind of like this, it feels smaller. It feels so small. Oh, this is kind of cool. So they have a whole bunch. We'll talk about this one for a second because this one, again, like you could easily just take, I mean, the welcome mat's here, but there's also a door on this side. This could easily be the front door. The kitchen size is very small. But if you didn't have a door here, you could do the U-shaped kitchen and have 3 walls of counter instead of just the 2. It is nice to see a washer and dryer incorporated, but I would imagine, given how sizable this staircase is, the intent here would be to have a lot of your clothing storage and stuff in the staircase, which I've critiqued in a lot of tours. But the difference between those tours and this layout here is that the bathroom is adjacent to this. Like the bathroom's right here. And I actually like this a lot. This is one of my preferred ways of seeing storage integrated in the stairs. So this is kind of cool. And the 30-foot one is pretty much the exact same. They just increased the size of the kitchen and the loft. That's really all we got out of here. Oh, this one's interesting. We don't know the length of this one either. But the one thing that I do really like about this one that I think has drawn me to it is, I know I said in the previous video or the previous layout that having the toilet in its own segregated room with the partition was kind of a waste of space and you might as well just open up the whole bathroom. But in this instance, because the toilet and the shower are together, I like it more. And what I really like about this design is the storage here, and this is a washer dryer. I like this a lot. And this is the entrance down here too. And I've mentioned I don't like it when the entrances are on the short end. I'm also not a fan of linear kitchens like this either. Look at how like this burner is so small. Everything's in a row. I literally just I want to take this top part and snip it. So they have a living room that has a pocket door as well, and it's a hide-a-bed. So this could kind of be a spare room. The only thing about it being a spare room though, again, with the entrance being down here, is your guest, if you're staying, if they're staying with you, is right where you enter and leave the house. I love having a design where if you have a guest staying over, they have the ability to shut their own door and have a little bit of privacy. So I think this is really, really nice. The rest of this can kind of be modified as per other things that we've done, but I'm actually gonna pin this. And let's just do one more. I want interesting layouts that have things that we may not have considered yet. That's what I'm trying to prioritize right now. This one just has way too many bathrooms. There's a bathroom on this side and a bathroom on this side, and I get that it's nice, this kind of would act as a guest bathroom probably, but I just feel that's so unnecessary for such a it's a small space where everything counts. The clearances on this one is terrible. Nothing is to scale here. Ooh, this one has a ton of dimensions. Let's look at this one. 32 feet long. Yeah, see, it's nice to know that this is a 30-inch pocket door. And as I mentioned, 2.5 feet I think is the smallest that I would like to go for any kind of corridor or clearance. Typically, rule of thumb in a full-size house is actually 3 feet. You get a lot more space. Oh, this door doesn't even look to scale. I don't know if this is to scale actually, but I'll do my best here. Entrance is on the left side here, and I don't like that. I think this double door here would be a much nicer entrance. However, it could be a convenience store off the side. It does look like they have a little office here in the corner. I don't like how far the dining table is from the kitchen here. I'm really not a fan of this in design when you have to walk through your living room to get to your dining room space. The flow is weird. The flow is strange, especially in this scenario where there's a coffee table in the path of travel if you're carrying stuff that you want to put down on the table, especially if you have guests over and you're kind of coming back and forth because you're entertaining and stuff. There could be the opportunity, I guess, to take this living room space and this office space and maybe just mirror them or swap them. This is a lot of seating for this living room. Obviously, I guess whoever drafted up this design, a large living room might have been of more value to them. I would rather give this real estate back to the kitchen, or to have a little bit of a bigger dining area, or to have a bigger work from home space. Because even from this kitchen here, what I'm seeing, I'm not seeing a lot of countertop real estate. I don't know what this little symbol is here actually with the 18-inch wide thing, if it's below. I think based on that though, you have maybe this little stretch of countertop here to prep, and then these 12-inch gaps on either side of the stove. They're enough to put stuff down, but they're not enough to consider this side here another prep space. You're kind of just confined to this here. And I think that's fine if you are one person in your kitchen by yourself. I really think that's no big deal. I cook with my partner all the time though. When two people are trying to dance around one another in the kitchen, it's nice to have two separate functioning prep spaces. Also, this bathroom is so small. And the clothing storage is upstairs in the loft. The one thing that I do really like that I would consider, I don't think it's worth pinning though, is just noting that we have this shed area above the trailer hitch, or some kind of storage for systems. If you are trying to go off grid and you have a big solar system, for example, you need a space to store all of the elements that are involved with that. All of the batteries, the inverter, everything needs a home, and it takes up a lot of real estate, especially when you get to, well, it's a tiny house, but it's very large compared to like our camper van, for example, which also has a solar setup and does take up a sizable chunk of the storage that like is under our bed. The other thing I haven't got an answer with for tiny houses is how you store the water, or what you do for like water tanks, for example. So we have made some leeway. We're at 5 options now for these floor plans that we're trying to distill down. Next time, I think we'll actually do more of a review of the actual, like our own floor plans that we've created instead of critiquing others. Yeah, we'll do that exercise and try and distill down like how we're going to combine things and what that looks like.